Hi everyone, Jose here of Joy of Fish Keeping. I have been doing a series on UV sterilization as it relates to aquarium fish. In this particular part, I am focusing more on algae control with UV sterilization. Just allow me a couple of minutes to digress a little bit related to the topic. But one of the things that you find that sometimes in life, you're not going to please everyone. And sometimes you make a comment, sometimes we misspeak, sometimes we may say something that may be totally incorrect, but we'll take suggestion, comments. This is where this becomes a dialogue. Differences in opinion. One person does things one way, another does another way. This is life in general. And in fish keeping, certainly there are many differences of how we do things and how we approach these subjects. In a previous, someone said in one of the comments, UV sterilization does not affect the health of fish. That is false. I mean, we've learned something in my profession is that you never should say never. You sometimes you should not say things that are absolutely not or definitely wrong. On the thumbnail, I wrote the science back up UV effectiveness. Well, one of the things is there is vast amount of literature, research material. If you want to know the information, it is just there. If you claim that it does not affect the fish and that it is false, now have you done research to prove otherwise that it does not work? If you read one article or one particular study that says that it does not affect, but then there are hundreds and perhaps thousands of studies that it does affect bacteria in a negative way, will you be cure a fish that is sick? It may prevent it from getting sick. By decreasing bacteria count in the water, the fish is less likely to get sick. Would it improve the health of a fish that's already sick? Depends. It can improve it from having less bacteria to further make the fish sicker, or you may have to use it in conjunction with treatments to make the fish health. But to say that it does not affect the fish's health, that it is false. Depends on what point of view you're talking about it. Now, I can tell you that there is enough science to back it up. Just find it is everywhere. During my student life, I spent many hours in public libraries researching, looking through scientific journal, looking through studies, just to do my own research papers on whatever the topic was, in biochemistry. And there is, you learn the methods, you learn the science, and you learn that there are some studies that say one thing, the other study says something else. Now, if one study says this helps and 30 studies say that it does help with facts and proof, I'm more likely to be inclined to this study that says that it does help. Now, whenever I make a video, I always have newcomers in mind, and this is one of the reasons why my wife kind of pushed me into having a YouTube channel to share information. What comes out of this, who knows? Nobody knows that. Am I looking for fame? No. Am I looking for money? No. If something comes along the way, listen, I'll take whatever YouTube may give me down the line. It's fine. It's part of the game. I always have my audience in mind as a new fish keeper. If they are experienced fish keeper that can learn anything from my own experience, as I've learned from many of you, then that's a wonderful thing. If I am going to talk about a particular subject and I get too hard into the science, I'm going to lose a lot of people early on in the video. If I am listening to a conversation about quantum physics, I probably understand some of the science, but down the line, you're going to lose me, most likely, because it is a subject that probably I'm not that interested in, or I don't want to know that's that hard science. I want to know what can I do to make my fish's health better, which is probably why you're looking at these videos anyway. So let me give you another example here. A lot of the things in fish keeping are anecdotal. If somebody tells me there are 30 fish keepers that said that standing on your head and spinning 10 times is going to clear the water, if those 30 fish keepers, 20 fish keepers have proven that it actually works, hey, I'm going to try it. Maybe it works for me too. Now, one or two people will say, hey, of course, this is a ridiculous example, but some people may say, I tried it, that didn't work. Well, maybe you only spun 8 times and not 10. You understand? So the thing is that there are differences. In the reefing community, it has been proven that with and without UV sterilization, there is a difference. again, as I said, there's a lot of science behind it. I can tell you another thing that some people out there will say, well, if you do large water changes, your fish will die. If you, especially as some people may refer to a lot of the discus snobs, if you don't use RO water, or if you don't do this, or if you don't do that, your fish are going to die. I can tell you that daily, I can prove that perhaps some of those people are wrong. I do 80% water changes here. You also, if you go by the overstocking rules, all my tanks are overstocked. You don't see a lot of discus here, that 26 discus in there. It is 5 a.m. right now when I'm recording this. I couldn't sleep, so I just got up and I said, let me just take advantage of the time. There's 26 discus in there. You don't see them because I was mean and I turned the lights on, and they're mostly of them are hiding and they're kind of on sleepy mode still. And besides all the other fish that are in there, there's a lot of fish in there, so it's severely overstocked. So is this one back here? It's every tank that I keep is overstocked. Now, some people say you cannot overstock fish because they're gonna die, they're gonna get sick. I can prove to you every day that in my case, that is not the case. I do 80% once a week, more often if I feel like it for whatever reason, and my fish don't die by doing massive water changes. Now, some people out there, I'm not gonna get into that, they will say you can only do 10%, you can only do 20%, once every 10 months, once every year. Otherwise, if you do large water changes, your fishes will die. These guys are healthy. Once in a while, one of them will get sick. I take it out and treat it, put them back, they're fine. If I see that more than one gets sick, then I'll treat the whole tank. My hope for UV is that I will minimize those chances where I need to improve medication and hopefully improve their health. So that's really my goal for it. Now, I am not here to prove to you that it is false, or it is not false, that it works or it doesn't work. There is enough science there to back up the fact that UV sterilization does work. It has been used in medical industry, has been used in commercial installation. It definitely, there's plenty of proof to back up the science that it does work. If you want to look and dig into it, you can do that. I've read for the last 4 or 5 years, I informed myself. It was just a matter of deciding to take the plunge and spend the money to set it up. So anyway, with that being said, in this tank back here, and the other 65 gallon that is to my right, and then another 60 gallon, I've already installed UV sterilization, smaller units for those particular tanks. I've been using the green machine, which are 24 watts. The smaller ones, I have another one that I can move around, specifically targeted for algae, and it is very effective, which I'll just further down in this video I will show you. But anyway, the point is that UV sterilization, you have to choose what goal you want it to use for. If it's for algae, for bacteria, for parasite, it is all flow related, and you need to keep that in mind. And how effective it is against any of those three things, it all depends on the contact time of the water to the UV light. This is a 20-gallon tall tank. We're looking at it from the end. This is a discus pair. They paired off on their own. I know they're different strain. They have been in that tank for a while. They lay eggs. Sometimes they eat the eggs. At other time, we just have the wiggler stage now. I have not ever had a green tank. I've had initial problems with hair algae at the beginning of some tank setup, but actually having a green tank or green algae, with the exception of green spot algae, which I did a previous video on that and dealing with it the way I can deal with it. This tank got very green and I could barely see the two discus in there. I did some water changes, but it didn't really make a change. Now it probably got a little bit out of control because all these quarantine tanks, which I will show you on screen in a second, I have three 20-gallon tanks, 3 10s and 1 5.5, which I just use for quarantining, for breeding and treatment tanks. I keep a Brisonol's pleco. That really keeps the algae in check, and it does fine up. Since I have eggs here, I could not keep a pleco in there. So whatever algae was building up on the walls, I just kind of spread, and it really got out of control. So I could not see the discus. I did some water changes. Really was nothing was doing much. I took a a green machine, the 9-bolt unit, the small unit. I put it in there. So I did not record when it was very green. I thought I did, but I cannot find the video. So this one is a day after. On the third day, it cleared 100%. Okay, this is actually on the third day, so you see very little algae there. I removed the discus at this point, and I just have a large school there. It's probably about 40. You see in the right middle there, about 40 green neon tetras there. So there's absolutely 100% algae gone. It's very clear. But if you notice at the left, the tank on the left, but you don't see any kind of algae at all on the glass anywhere. And this is another day further now, so that it's 100% clear. There's no algae anywhere. I put a pleco back in there. You can see him under the filter. And this, if you look at the back there on the left of the screen, is the green machine 9-bolt unit, the small unit. I just moved it to the other tank. On the right is just a power filter, strictly mechanical. Here I have on the left, again, just looking at the same tank again where it's totally clear. On the left, you saw earlier that it was very cloudy looking, maybe a bacterial bloom. So I switched over the UV sterilizer there, and I have these crebences there with probably way over 100, 150 fries. I don't know how many they are. They're hiding in that square there, but there is quite a bit of them. So again, for algae control, a small unit like this works excellent. UV sterilization is used very extensively in ponds, and it is excellent algae control. This one I'm planning to use it in conjunction with my quarantine process, just as in conjunction to replace quarantine. This one is the larger unit, the 24-watt green machine, which I'm using on the 90-gallon tank on the 65 and the 60. Again, this 24-watt unit, it is sufficient for this size tank, and the idea for this one, it is just to help with bacteria. This one I'm planning to use it for bacteria. At this point, I have it running 24/7, but I'll probably just cut it back to about 8 hours a day. Occasionally, I may have a small fish that just randomly dies, just one, not more than one, and it's just either illness, just time for the fish's death, or for whatever reason. But on the 60 gallons, sometimes I get some periodic illness on individual fish, so I'm going to keep an eye on it and see the results after a few months of use to see if the frequency of that is not that often. But these small fish, they don't live forever, so they do have their length of period that they live through. The other thing that I'm going to be interested in is seeing, right now I have no green spot algae on any of these tanks because I treated it the other day. I scraped anything that was any little bit that was on the glass and the plants. One of the previous videos that I did on dealing with the green spot algae, I was able to clear the algae from the leaves. So since there's not much in the tank right now, or hardly any, I would say, we'll see if any floating algae particle in the water column will be eliminated by this UV light. Again, this 24-watt green machine will keep things in check. I will just see how it works out over a length of period. To recap, I wanted to cover in this video, focus more on the algae control. It is obvious and is very effective that it does kill and eliminates and control algae. It is used extensively, as I said previously, on ponds. It is used intermittently. This is the 65-gallon tank. The unit is hiding back there. I've been using these plants here. They've been growing nicely to hide some of the equipment back there. To recap, UV sterilization, does it improve the health of your fish? How does it improve it? If a fish is already sick, will it cure the fish? Likely not, but it will definitely decrease the bacterial load in the water. We're looking at my mug of fame area here. This was sent from Price Tag Aquarium, Joe Price Tag. I have my own little piece here and a few other mugs for some of my favorite channels. So now we're looking at the 60-gallon. The unit, all the units are being installed. This is the green machine
24-watt unit. I will see over time or if I have any decreased illness on the fish. There's been many studies done. Again, I'm not here to prove to anyone that whether it improves the health of fish or affects the health of fish. It probably, again, as I said, it will not cure a fish that it's already ill. You will still have to treat it if it has a bacterial infection. It will not treat a fish that it's already sick and has bacteria within it. It will control the floating bacteria in the water column, and that's the idea. Whether you want to believe this, or whether you want to believe, say that it is false or not, that's up to you to decide. There's been enough studies done to say that it does control and it does affect it. Now it is up to you to look for the information if you want to prove to yourself. But I am not here to prove to anybody that the earth is round or it's flat, although some people still believe that it's flat regardless of all the information that is out there, or to prove the existence of a higher being. Again, I'm not discussing religion, but again, just because sometimes we don't always have tangible facts whether something works or not, or whether there is proof of something, as a lot of the information, as I said, on fish keeping is anecdotal. If it worked for somebody and you see an improvement with using something, and then go ahead and use it. Again, it is your choice. You don't have to use it. You don't need anybody to prove anything to you. But I am going from what I've read, from anecdotal from other people. Many people have made comments, are you going to love the UV light and the effect that it's going to have on the health of your fish? Again, it is not meant to cure fish. It is meant to decrease the bacterial load in the water column. If a bacteria does not pass through the UV light itself over an extended period of time, they will not be sterilized, meaning to render them unable to reproduce again. If you can decrease the bacterial load in the water, you will decrease the chances that it will find the fish and make them sick. A sick fish, you will still need to treat it with appropriate medication to treat whatever is making them ill. In this way, it will improve the health of the fish by prevention. This is not a treatment, but prevention. Again, you choose to believe whatever you want to believe, but again, these are my opinion based on information that I have read, seen other people who know a hell of a lot more than I do about UV lighting, and this is supposed to be more an informational piece and instruction, but not to make anyone an expert, because I certainly am not an expert on UV lighting, but I just go based on the information that I found. I did not pull this information out of a hat or out of a place where the sun don't shine. But I thank you again for listening, and if you made it this far into the video, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.